Hey everybody, in this video we're going to talk about traveling to Thailand. What is the best visa to get? And we're going to stay focused on tourist visas. Right now there's only two types of tourist visas you can get. You can get the regular tourist visa or you can get the multiple entry tourist visa. And we're going to use myself as an example. I'm getting ready to travel to Thailand in a month and a half. I'm leaving in the beginning of November and this is my goal. I want to stay for 6 months to 6.5 months. I gotta come back either the beginning or middle of May because my niece is getting married here in the States. So she wants me to come back, but she wants me to be involved with the marriage. So other than that, that's my goal. I'm leaving November 2nd. I'll arrive in Thailand November 4th, and I want to stay till the middle of May, which is approximately 6 months to 6.5 months. Which is the best visa to get? Is it the regular tourist visa or is it the multiple entry visa? Lo and behold, let's get rocking and rolling and let's jump on over to the Thai embassy website in California. Now, as you can see, I'm on the Thai website. So this is probably the better one. I've been on the Chicago website, been on the New York website. Los Angeles actually has a pretty put together website. So let's jump over to the visas. So I'm at the home. You go over to the visa section, go down to visa types. Now under the visa types, we're just going to look at the tourist visas right now. We're going to look at the regular tourist visa. This is a single entry, and we're going to jump down here and look at the multiple entry visa. Okay, so really quick before we start the comparison. Now the comparison I really want to do is really which one is cost effective, a little bit more economical, that I'm not overexpending to do what I want to do. I want to stay 6 months, and I want to stay 6 months and spend most of my time in Thailand. So really quick here, let's click on the tourist visa. And this is just going to tell us, we're not going to go over this in detail, but this will tell us as far as the visa application, what you need. Okay, you need your passport, copy your passport. You need a passport to everything. 2 passport photos, copy of your passport, plus you're going to need a round trip ticket going from the United States to Thailand and traveling out of Thailand. So they are going to want to see that. Then here comes down to your banking information right here. They're going to want to see a current copy or your recent copy of your bank statement, and you're going to have at least $700 in there. Other than that, we're going to skip down here to your hotel bookings or accommodations. Now, when you schedule for any type of visa, this is really going to be the drawback. Sometimes people don't like. They're going to want to know where you're staying, and they're going to want to know proof of where you're staying. If you're staying in a resort, a hotel, well, they're going to want to see a receipt from that hotel that you're actually staying there. So they're going to want to know where you're staying at all times. The processing time is 15 business days. And it usually says a minimum. I mean, usually, you don't want to schedule something exactly 3 weeks and you're leaving, because they can deny your visa, or they won't deny it. They'll ask for additional information, and that's going to postpone it. So you might want to add on, another week or two just to make sure you're not getting into any type of delays and changing tickets and all that stuff. The fee is $40, and we'll talk about the rest later. We can stay for 3 months. We'll talk about this later in more detail when we do the comparison. Now let's jump over here to the multiple entry visa. Okay, the multiple entry visa, you're going to have really the same format of the required documents. It changes a little bit. You're going to need your passport photos. You're also going to need your flight confirmation, traveling from the US to Thailand and out of Thailand. Now, some immigrations, when you do the multiple entry visa, they will want to see you actually leaving Thailand several times. So that's the whole point of the multiple entry visa, but we'll discuss that a little bit later when we do the comparison. The biggest difference is going to come down to your bank statements. And a multiple entry visa costs a little bit more. You got to prove that you make a little bit more money. They're going to want to see bank statements for the last 6 months. So you're going to have to supply 6 months of bank statements. Every month you're going to have a remaining balance of $7,000. Other than that, that's it. They're going to want proof of where you're staying, so forth, just like the regular tourist visa. When you scroll down, the fee's $200. The processing time is 15 days. Just like I said, you don't want to give exactly 15 days or exactly 3 weeks, because especially with this type of visa, they might ask you for more information because it's a little bit harder visa to get. So that being said, let's jump over to our presentation, and we're going to compare side by side which one is a better choice. So let's jump over there. Okay, now this is where we're going to do the comparison. We're going to compare everything we have to do. Now we're using my example. Okay, I want to go for 6 months to 6.5 months. I'm leaving November 2nd. I'm arriving in Thailand Saturday, November 4th. So which visa is the best? Which visa is going to be the best economical? Because once we enter Thailand, on either side, I can't stay the entire 6 months straight in Thailand. I'm either going to have to do land borders, or I'm going to have to leave and come back a fly over to Vietnam, Cambodia, the Philippines, Malaysia, something like that. So that's going to cost additional money. That's why we're going through this right now today. So let's get rocking and rolling. Now with a tourist visa, remember the cost is $40. That's just your visa fee to apply for the visa and get accepted. Over on the multiple entry, it's $200. So right away, this is what kind of makes me kind of think and want to do this video, because right away it's $200 versus $40. So right away, the multiple entry visa looks like it's going to come out to be more expensive, but we don't know that right away yet, because these visas are a little bit different. So when am I leaving? This is not when I'm leaving. This is when I'm arriving in Thailand. Now this is very important, because when you look at the tourist visa, your tourist visa starts right when you arrive in Thailand. So I'm arriving in Thailand November 4th. So that's when my visa starts. So the November 4th is very important when we're comparing these two types of visas. So the tourist visa, I can stay three months. Okay, now how the tourist visa really works, you can stay for 60 days, 2 months, then you have to file a 30-day extension, but you can stay 90 days straight in Thailand, but you do have to file an extension. We'll talk about that later. So with a multiple entry visa, we can stay 6 months, but we get a little bit more in detail how that really works. Now this is what I kind of started saying, like we have to pay attention to when I'm arriving in Thailand, the November 4th. This is the differences. The tourist visa starts on arrival. So right when the arrival date is when I actually land. My plane lands in Thailand. My plane lands in Thailand November 4th. I leave on November 2nd, but it's not taking it from the 2nd. I actually arrive in Thailand November 4th. So that's when my visa is going to start. It's going to start exactly on November 4th. The multiple entry visa starts on issue date. See, this is the main difference. What is issue date? Issue date means when they accept your visa. Once they approve your visa, that's when your visa starts. So, for example, I'm leaving November 2nd. If I file my visa, file all the documents, file my visa the beginning of October, let's say October 1st, I file for the visa. It tells me it takes at least 3 weeks to approve my visa. It could take a week longer if they ask for additional information. But let's say I apply them, I've done this before, I apply them all the documents they need, it passes on the first time. Let's say they're really quick and they pass my visa in 1 week. It didn't take 3 weeks, it's all done in 1 week or week and a half. What that means is issue date, it doesn't start November 4th, it could start in the middle of October. So that's a huge difference, because I'm not really getting 6 months. You see what I'm saying? Over on the tourist visa side, 3 months starts on November 4th. Since 6 months starts on a multiple entry, it could start the middle of October. So you're really not getting 6 months actually when you enter Thailand. So that's really the main point I want to point out here. You could really get 5.5 months or closer to 5 months depending upon that issue date. So again, with a tourist visa, I can stay up to 3 months. But with a multiple entry visa, again, I can only stay for 3 months at a time. Now there is a little bit of differences here. How you stay for 3 months at a time, you would stay 60 days on the tourist visa side, then file a 30-day extension. You would have to do the same thing on the multiple entry visa. You can stay 60 days, but then you would have to file for that 30-day extension. Now I'm hearing some drawback on this a little bit. I'm kind of hearing there that you can only stay 60 days, that's it, then you have to leave. You can't file for the 30-day extension on the multiple entering visa. But I did call Thai immigration on this, and Thai immigration in California. Now Thai immigration in California said that the multiple entry visa works just like the tourist visa. You can stay for 60 days, then you can extend it for 30 days and get the 90 days. So you can get on both sides, you have to get 3 months. But what happens after 3 months? You have to leave Thailand. Okay, now when you leave Thailand, that costs money. So on the tourist visa side, what happens is when I leave Thailand and come back, I have to re-enter Thailand. When I re-enter Thailand at that point, I get 30 days on my passport. So I would basically come back on my passport because I already used my tourist visa. Then I would have to do what's called a visa on arrival. Sometime within that 30 days, I would have to go to Thai immigration and file a 30-day extension. That's what's called a visa on arrival. That way I can stay for a total of 2 months. Okay, so right now on the tourist visa side, I've stayed for 5 months. I've left and came back. Now leaving and coming back, you do have a couple choices. You can do a land border, which means you drive to the border of Thailand, you walk across, and you come back. You can do that 2 times per year. Or you can jump on a plane and actually fly over to Vietnam and come back. So that's 2 types that you can do. Now the difference is with a multiple entry is when you leave and come back and re-enter, you're granted 60 days right off the bat. I don't have to do the visa on arrival, but that's the perk of the multiple entry visa. So I don't have to go to Thai immigration and get the extra 30 days. Now again, if I want to stay 6 months, I'm going to have to leave, come back on my passport, and do the visa on arrival for an additional 2 months. That's what I'm going to have to do. Now on the multiple entry side, if I want to stay 6 months in my example, it's not an example, this is what I'm really doing. I'm going to have to file a 30-day extension, leave, come back on my passport, and do a visa on arrival to get an additional 2 months. So what I'm saying here, once it hits about the 5-month mark on the multiple entry visa side, my visa is going to expire. So when I leave in that 5 months or 5.5 months, because remember, I'm not getting a total of 6 months. It's on the issue date. So you're going to have to pay close attention what your issue date is, because once that issue date comes due, your visa expires. You're going to have to leave. Then when you come back on your passport. So when you come back on your passport, at that point, I'm going to have to file a visa on arrival to get 2 months. That way I'm staying 6 to 6.5 months, or I'm staying till the mid-May. So at this point, this is kind of the basics on what's going on. So let's dive a little bit deeper. What does it really cost me to do all this stuff? So the cost. This is the fun part. On the tourist visa, we both know that it's $40. That's just for my visa. On the multiple entry side, it's $200. So that's just the cost of my visa, get my visa approved. That's not any additional cost of me leaving, coming back, filing extensions. All this stuff costs money. It's not free. So let's see. On the tourist visa side, right away, for me to stay 3 months, I get 60 days. I can file a 30-day extension. To file a 30-day extension is 1,900 baht. So roughly that's around $60. I aimed a little bit high, depending upon the ratio, what it is. If the baht to dollar is high, If it's a little bit lower, I mean, it will be relatively around 55 to 60 bucks. But let's aim high and say $60. I have to do the same thing on the multiple entry side. So when I come in, if I want to stay the longest in Thailand without leaving, I can stay 60 days. I can file a 30-day extension, 1900 baht, and that's 60 bucks. Then at that point on the tourist visa side, I stayed my 3 months. I have to leave Thailand. Period. I can't stay. The same thing on the multiple entry side. I can stay 90 days, 3 months, but I have to leave. No matter the multiple entry, okay, no matter it says I can stay 3 months, I can't stay 3 months on just in a row. I have to leave. The whole perk of the multiple entry is you can basically go and come. You can leave Thailand, come back, leave Thailand, come back as many times as you want, and you're still on your visa. Now, when I return, once I leave and come back, I'm not really giving a dollar amount here, just because let's assume I did a land border, came back. That does cost money, or I went to Vietnam and came back. But in both examples, I didn't use the money. I just kept it on what does it really cost me visa-wise. So when I leave Thailand and come back, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have to file a visa on arrival. Because remember, I come back on my passport. So now I'm going to file the visa on arrival, which is 60 bucks. The difference is here, when I return with a multiple entry visa, when I return, there's no money, because right when I return, I can stay for 60 days. So that's cool. It doesn't cost me any more money because I can stay for 60 days and get 2 months without spending an extra 60 bucks. On the tourist visa side, I have to leave Thailand again. Okay, once I do the visa on arrival and I stay 2 months, I have to leave again. So either I can do a land border or I jump on a plane and leave. Now on the multiple entry side, what happens is I can do, at this point, I've gotten 5 months. So remember on the multiple entry side, I can probably only stay between 5 months to 5.5 months. So I'm not going to get that whole 6 months. So mainly what I'm going to have to do is do a 30-day extension for 1900 baht for 60 bucks to basically what that does is cancel out my tourist visa, my multiple entry tourist visas. That way I can say the max. Then once my tourist visa is due, then at that point I have to leave Thailand. Then when I come back on my passport. So let's jump back over to the tourist visa. Now once I leave Thailand and come back, I have to do the same process again. I come back on my passport, I get 30 days, then I file a visa on arrival, and that's 60 bucks. So at this point, I'm staying from November 4th to mid-May. So around 6 to 6.5 months. Now on the multiple entry side, remember, I returned on my passport for 30 days. And that takes me to about mid-May. Okay, now from here, let's kind of add everything up that basically to add up all these extensions and 60 bucks here, 60 bucks there, and see how much it comes out to. Now, the total cost on the tourist visa side, we got $220. And the total cost on the multiple entry side, we have $320. Because the main thing, this is kind of where the perks come in with the multiple entry side. The main perk with multiple entry is if you want to leave Thailand many times and come back, and you're still on your tourist visa. On the tourist visa, you can't leave Thailand. Okay, you got to stay the whole 3 months. Now you can leave anytime, but if I leave, I break my visa and come back to my passport. So that's really the main perk with a multiple entry visa is I want to leave many times and come back in a 6-month period. That's why it's a little bit more expensive. That's why it starts off at 200 bucks. But in my example, if I want to stay as much as I can in Thailand for the whole 6 months, 6.5 months, this right here is how much it's going to cost me. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Now the multiple entry visa possibly could be $60 extra, depending upon that issue date again. That issue date is going to be very important, because if that issue date takes away 3 weeks and I only can stay 5 months and 1 week, that might throw in an extra extension I got to do. So if that happens because of the issue date, well, this is going to go up to $380. Now remember, I already explained it. Remember, the perk of the multiple entry visa is you can leave and come back many times. That's really what the multiple entry visa is for. It's not really for you to try to finagle and try to stay as long as you can in Thailand. It's really for maybe you have a job, maybe you're country hopping, but you can come back and forth, so forth and so forth. Now let's jump back over on the tourist visa side. Because the tourist visa side, it possibly can be $60 less. Why? And if it's $60 less, that it would drop from $220 down to $140. So basically almost, more than half cheaper than the multiple entry visa. And this is the reason why, is because I didn't really go into detail. Like each time we left, on the tourist visa side, I left Thailand twice. Now I can do land borders. Now both times I can do land borders. Land borders take up 1 day of my time, but I'm never leaving Thailand. I'm basically driving to the border, filling out the paperwork, walking across, coming back, so forth and so forth. I won't explain land borders in this video. Now if I do that, it's going to cost me $220. But if I end up doing one land border, then the second time I leave, maybe I go to the Philippines, but I have a couple friends in the Philippines, and I stay in the Philippines for 2 weeks. Then I come back to Thailand. Now, if I stay in the Philippines for 2 weeks, or any place else for 2 weeks, well, it's going to be $60 less, because I won't have to file that extension, that extra extension to stay 6.5 months. That's why it will be cheaper. So if I fly to Vietnam, stay a week, then my second time I fly to Malaysia, stay a week, then it's going to reduce my time in Thailand. Another thing we didn't really discuss with the tourist visa, once your visa's up and you leave, they might let you do it once or twice where you leave and come back as soon as possible. But maybe once you do it once or twice like that, they're really going to want you to stay for a week or two. So that's why I'm using a week or two as an example. Like if I fly over to the Philippines, maybe I stay a week and come back. So the total cost of a tourist visa could really be $140, which is way cheaper than a multiple entry visa. Now the multiple entry visa, depending upon Thai immigration, when you submit all your docs for the visa, you're basically writing what you want to do. They might not want you to, they might not approve your multiple entry visa, because the whole point is for you to leave and come back, leave and come back, leave and come back. So even on a multiple entry visa, if I didn't want to do all the extensions where the total cost would stay $200, I would have to leave every 2 months. Every 60 days or every 58 days, I would have to leave. So I would have to leave minimum 3 times versus 2 times on a tourist visa. So it would be 3 times multiple entry, 2 times a tourist visa. So that's going to be, if I have to leave 1 time, that's going to be way extra money on that side. So in my opinion, for what I want to do, visa types, for what I'm getting, I'm kind of leaning more towards the tourist visa. In the beginning, I started leaning towards the multiple entry visa. But once I did the numbers and started thinking about it, what I wanted to do and accomplish, the tourist visa seems a little bit more economical, and it's usually easier to get the tourist visa. The multiple entry visa, the Thai immigration might want you to jump through more hoops to actually grant you the visa. So right here, I'm leaning towards the tourist visa in my example, what's going to work out for me. Hopefully this video helped. If you have any comments, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any more questions about Thailand, how to travel Thailand, how to stay in Thailand at length of time, comment below and I'll help you out. See you in the next video.